Jose, it's great to have you with me here on Life's Checkmark podcast. Just so you guys know, I met Jose through his CLA Facebook group, and he can dive into more about what that group's all about. But I got the chance to actually meet him in person back in September, so we were able to shake hands and say hi to each other for a little bit, and which led us to where we are today. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey with the others that are going to be listening. But let's start off with who you are today and, what you're most passionate about.
Yes. So of course, John, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to add value to your audience, and always love being on podcasts. So kudos to you for what you're doing, and thank you for the opportunity. In terms of myself, I was born in Washington, D.C., Washingtonian at heart, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. Grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, happily married, 5 kids. 16-year-old boy down to a 1-year-old boy, then 3 girls in the middle, 6'4", and I'm a martial artist background, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, kickboxing, been in that space for many years. And then also career-wise, I've been in the banking industry, I've been in life insurance business, and then also property and casualty, State Farm, Liberty Mutual. Did that for many years, and eventually I got into entrepreneurship, and the last 2 years, done a lot of awesome things in business. Have a couple different moving parts, 2 companies primarily, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and my other company, the Connected Leaders Academy. And of course, here we are. So that's a little bit of my background.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. So you started off with jiu-jitsu. Is that where you began? Yeah.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing, that's kind of what I've enjoyed the most. I mean, there's a lot of martial arts that are beautiful and fantastic, and they're all good for what their purpose is, right? But I've always been drawn to BJJ because of Royce Gracie back in UFC 1,
Okay. So you took that on around what age would you say you started?
Oh, much later in life. I always wanted to do it as a kid, but my parents never got me into it. So I didn't actually start that until maybe like 25. No, like 27, 28 years old, late in the game. So,
all right. But what got you so interested and wanted to get involved in it?
I've always been a fan of like fighting movies, like Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme, anything Steven Seagal, all of those cool movies like that back in the day. And then of course I watched UFC 1 back in I think 97 or something like that, and I saw this small little puny guy destroying these big massive people. And I saw how Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of took over cage fighting, right, with no rules except for no eye gouges, no biting, and no. I think that was it, and no crotch shots, right? But besides that, it was anything goes. No gloves, no time limits, no weight classes, and I was very intrigued by that. And I grew up watching professional wrestling, WWE, right? So when you combine all those pieces together, I just said, this is like a natural thing that I like to do, and that's kind of my interest.
Yeah, and so did you do it just to learn to go fight? I mean, did you actually fight people then, or did you learn it for defense?
I was always into it for self-defense purposes. I mean, I had this idea of like going into I had this goal in my mind initially of like, I want to do this to actually compete, right? And to fight and go, if I can go pro, go pro. But I started really late in the game, number one. Not that that's an excuse, because people can do it, right? And then B, it was just, I had a couple amateur MMA fights, and then I realized very quickly getting punched in the face is not what I enjoy. I said, yeah, everybody wants to be an MMA fighter until they get punched in the face, right? Mike Tyson said something to that effect, something completely different, but same concept. So it wasn't for me. But I have done, grappling tournaments, like jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff like that. But I'm not really into it for the competitive side. I'm just into it for self-defense, and just because I like the team camaraderie that comes with it, the discipline, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Are you still doing it today?
No, I'm not active right now. I think it's been about a year and a half since I've actually gone to train and like practice and all that kind of stuff, roll on the mats, as they say. But I will be back. I will be back. The last 2 years, I've focused on business. It's just been business heavy, and I've done a lot in a very short period of time, and that's kind of been my main focus outside of being a husband and a father of 5.
Right. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I get. And I see you on Facebook, so I already know that you're focused on 75 hard right now. So how you feeling with that?
75 hard is great. I'm on day 59 today. So this is my 5th time doing it. So for those who may not know what 75 hard is, I'm not going to spend too much time explaining it. Just go to 75hard.com or go to andyfrisella.com and check it out. But it's a mental toughness discipline program. And it's, of course, by default, you get in shape and all kinds of stuff like that. But it's really that kind of a thing. And they say less than 50% of the people who start finish. Right. So I've done it 4 times prior to now successfully the first time around. And every time I've lost like 25, 30 pounds, whatever it is, I always historically have gone 75 hard and then I go 75 soft. Right. So I said, this time around, this is the 5th time around. This time around, I'm going to keep the weight off and I'm just going to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm not going to necessarily do 75 hard forever. And I'm not going to do 2 workouts a day and not drink alcohol. If I want to drink, I'll drink, just within moderation. And if I want to have a pizza or candy, I'll have it. I'll just have it in moderation. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And, every time I've done it, I facilitate a group. I don't do it alone, right? Because I know if I'm facilitating a group and leading a group of people doing it together, the likelihood that I'll quit is this big, right? Because I'm the leader of the group, right? So I've done that every time. I started with 10, and then the second time I did it was another 10, and so on and so forth. This time, the 5th time I'm doing it, I got together 27 people, right? I intended to do 20, and including me, 27 people is how we started, and now we're down to 17. So as you can see, the numbers start dropping as we get more into it, but that's kind of where we're at.
At least those people are honest,
Yeah, no, yeah. That's true. That's true. No. At the end of the day, it's integrity based, right? So with a gallon of water, 10 pages a day, 2 workouts, one has to be outside 3 hours apart, and so on and so forth. It's not easy, right? That's why it's called hard, 75 hard. So, that's where we're at. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I did it once. I got around to day 59 or so, somewhere around that.
Oh, where I am now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it just happened to be what it was. It's not easy, but it definitely gives you that discipline and stuff. Like you said, you can roll it over and just do things in moderation then, because now you have some kind of control, watch what you're eating and all that. But, and then, so you said you went into insurance. I mean, so what got you involved in insurance? Because you did a big shift there.
So I started out in banking. So I was a manager for banks, Capital One and PNC Bank, and it was actually Chevy Chase at the time, and then they got bought out by Capital One. Then I went into PNC Bank, and then I got tired of the banking space, like the 9 to 5, 4-wall suit and tie. Right? I said, let me get a little bit more autonomy, a little bit less micromanagement. Let me go into life insurance, and this was a brokerage. So it was life insurance, and I was selling equity index universal life insurance. You don't have to die to use. Very unique product at the time. It was very rare. Now a lot of other companies have living benefits as well, and disability included, and retirement, tax-free retirement. So I was selling that. It was very lucrative, and the switch I did was because I wanted, again, more autonomy to be able to do things my way. I wanted to have a little bit more or less micromanagement, more flexibility to kind of take my own calls, make my own decisions. And I realized that selling life insurance allowed me to do that. It was pretty much up to me. So I was working for this company called National Life Group, where I was selling for them. They're out of Vermont, Montpelier, Vermont. They've been around for 180 years, something crazy. And I was doing that, and I enjoyed it because I was adding value to people's lives. I was protecting people in a lot of great ways. And how many people die? You see GoFundMe's out there. Do something about it while you're alive, so your family behind doesn't have to suffer because of you, right? So, and there's so many options available. There's term, there's permanent, and there's all kinds of cool stuff. So I was doing that, and I enjoyed it because I was helping people, and it was profitable, right? So it's a profitable industry. So I enjoyed that for a while, and then I also eventually got bored because the reality is there's nothing sexy about selling life insurance, right? It's kind of boring after a while, and I said, let me just try the last thing kind of in this same realm. And I went into property and casualty, and I did great work for Liberty Mutual and State Farm as well.
Okay. And then ultimately you came out of insurance. So what was that like?
So I decided at some point, I think the last thing I was at was State Farm. I said, okay, I'm tired of all of this. It's time for me to go into the space that I'm passionate about. I said, if there is a job out there that's an ideal dream job for me, career, right? It's going to be a job that has networking, coaching, sales, and martial arts all in one package. If I could find that, I'd be a made man. And I did find it. There was this company called EFC, Educational Funding Company, out of Chevy Chase, Maryland, right on the border of DC. And I started working for them. And this company is like a consulting company for martial arts schools, right? So if you own an academy, a dojo, a gym, whatever you want to call it, then, and let's say you're making $5,000 a month at your location, then somebody like me would come in and coach you and consult with you on a weekly basis to help you start to get to 10K, to 15, to 20, to 30, to 50, to 60, so on and so forth, right? So essentially, the company started back in 1967. So they are the pioneers of the martial arts industry in terms of helping people in the martial arts space. Their first client was Jun Rhee. Jun Rhee is the guy who brought Taekwondo to America. He's a world-renowned martial artist, and they grew to thousands of clients and scale. They were the first of its kind in terms of they started out as a billing company. So if you own a school, they will do all the third-party billing for you, collect credit cards, cancel accounts, hold accounts, update information, deal with your clients, right? So you as an instructor can just focus on teaching and training, which you're good at, right? And you don't have to ruin that student-teacher relationship by trying to collect money from people. So they hired EFC to come in and do all the billing and handle all the back-end admin type stuff, right? So that's how the company started. And then they realized over time, after many years of doing that and becoming very successful with thousands of clients globally, they said, oh, you know what? We realized that martial artists, just because they're black belts, doesn't mean they're black belts in business, right? So maybe we should create a consulting arm to this business model, and we should be teaching them how to grow a successful martial arts academy. So the guy who started it, Nick Kokinos, was a graduate of West Point, and he's from Potomac, Maryland. My best friend, Nick Kokinos, is the grandson of the founder. He was the best man at my wedding. I was the best man at his wedding. That's how I kind of got introduced to this company. And so bottom line is that the guy implemented all the systems that he learned at West Point that he implemented in Arthur Murray dance studios. He had like 6 Arthur Murray dance studios successfully. And he said, let me take these models of how to build these tuition-based companies and put it into the martial arts industry and coach people how to do that. And it took off. And that's kind of what happened there. And that's kind of where I came in to do the consulting. And very quickly after, I don't know, a few years of working there, I realized, you know what? I am helping produce millionaires in the martial arts industry by consulting them. I might as well do it for myself because I realized my income is staying the same and they're all doing this. So that's where I saw a disconnect. And that's kind of what sparked my interest in doing my own thing.
Let's get into that. What is your own thing then? Let's explain more.
So my own thing is, so I've been the lifelong learner, right? For the last 25 years, easily, I've been really heavy into personal development, personal growth type stuff. I'm talking about John Maxwell, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, all these guys out there, Jim Rohn. I mean, I can go name after name after name. I've been following these people for years. I have invested tons of money collectively, but in the last 7-8 years, I have easily invested well over 6 figures on just personal development. I'm talking about paid coaches, paid mentors, programs, courses, events, summits, boot camps, masterminds, high ticket masterminds at that. I mean, watching all the YouTube videos you can think of, listening to all the podcasts, right? And going to all the virtual and in-person events you can think of. So I've invested tons of money. And I realized I became a professional seat warmer. I was attending events all the time, but I wasn't implementing anything I was learning. So I said to myself, my wife had a heart-to-heart conversation with me in January 15th of 2022, last year. This year it'll be, January of 2024, it'll be 2 years, right? So she had a heart-to-heart talk with me because I launched my own LLC. It was Escobar Enterprises LLC. I did that like 3 years prior to what would be almost 2 years now of being in business. And I was walking around with this like back straights, and I have a business. I started my LLC, but I had this much dollars in the account, right? And as a matter of fact, it would go negative because I had no money, and they said I didn't have a certain amount, so they would charge me a certain amount of, I think it was like $15 a month to maintain that business account. then it went negative because it was on zero. So for a long time, and I would always put money just to get it back to zero for a long time. But I was thinking I was a big shot because I had a business. I had an entity called Escobar Enterprises LLC. I even had my card, right, that had my logo on it, the whole thing. And I was just like thinking I was somebody in business when I really just was a entrepreneur, right? So I said, you know what? My wife sat me down and she said, Jose, and this was a heart-to-heart, one-on-one kind of chat. And she gave me the sandwich method: compliment, message, compliment, right? And she said, Jose, and in a lot more words, but this is essentially what she said: listen, I love you, I respect you, you inspire me, you're such a leader for the household and the family, and we appreciate you, all these nice things. And I was like, oh, this is going in a nice direction. And then she said, but, I was like, oh dear. So my heart went to my stomach. And she said, at some point, you got to start making money in your business. And if that is not what you're going to actually do, because you've been saying it for a long time, if that's not what you're actually going to do, it's time for you to just bury it. It's time for you to, like Kevin O'Reilly from Shark Tank would say, take it in the backyard, shoot it. Right? So, and just get rid of it, and stick to your career, and just be masterful at that. But stop fooling yourself and misleading me and telling me that this is what you want to do, and you're not doing it, and you're investing so much money into trying to do something that is not happening, right? So that money we could be taking vacations with, we could be investing into our future retirement, we could be doing all other things that you are just putting money into all these things that is going to come that doesn't come. Hard conversation. I didn't like it. So I went for a walk. I said, okay, I understood her. I heard her respectfully. I wasn't giving her pushback. I just took it because she was right. And then I went for a walk. I had a cigar. I came back. I prayed a little bit. I did some journaling. I had some time to myself, and I committed. And that day I stopped making decisions that I was going to do something, because I can't tell you how many times I decided to do something and then I changed my mind that, oh, it's not time yet, or I need to wait till this happens, or until I learn this strategy, or till I pay this off, or until I have money to do that. Or I always had an excuse as to why I wasn't pulling the trigger on what I was learning and actually apply what I learned, right? So information without implementation is just head knowledge, right? So it was time for me to execute. And I said, I'm going to start executing. Every year is a word of the year, right? Execute is right here. So I had execute as a word of the year. And I said, I'm going to pull the trigger. So I decided that I was going to pull the trigger. And what I did was I launched 2 companies the next day, literally, because I was a planner. I was planning, learning, goal setting, all these things, investing, but I was never applying and executing. So I said, okay, the time has come, game on. It's going to happen, right? So I did it. I launched 2 companies, and lo and behold, the Entrepreneur's Bookshelf and the Connected Leaders Academy. The Entrepreneur's Bookshelf is my coaching, author, speaker leg. I have 4 different high-ticket programs from $2,500 to $10,000, depending on what's for the client. My main program is called the Morning and Evening Routine Mastery Program. And then from there, I decided to write a book on the program called Winning the Day, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Morning and Evening Routine Mastery, which took off. And then I said, okay, let me co-author some other books with some high-level influencers and leverage their audience and leverage their fancy titles. So now I don't say I'm a best-selling author. I say I'm an 8-time award-winning best-selling published author. It just sounds better, right? And then I said, let me become a paid speaker too. So I got John Maxwell certified. I've been speaking on one stage every single week, whether it's virtual or in person, since January of last year, all the way up until now. I just got back from speaking in Canada. I'm doing the international circuit as well. I spoke in Romania a couple of months ago. I have Costa Rica on deck for March. The list goes on. So my Entrepreneur's Bookshelf company is my coaching, author, speaker, right? Connected Leaders Academy, I launched that. That's a community. It's a subscription-based model for entrepreneurs. It started with 1 member, right? It took me 2 weeks to create the idea. I said, I know all these people, all entrepreneurs, they all know me, but they don't know each other. They're all successful. And if I can just create a space to bring these people together so they can help each other grow their businesses, I can charge a small fee and have a recurring revenue, right? And I did that, and that took off. And we now have over 351 paid members in 42 states across the U.S. and 17 countries. We're growing every day. And then from there, I said, well, I'm speaking on everybody else's stages. Let me create my own stages. So I had 4 live events in 2022, for this year in 2023. I have a big one coming up, the CLA Global Summit in May of 2024. We're expecting 1,000 entrepreneurs. It's going to be crazy. That's what I'm building towards. And then I said, what else can I do? Okay, well, let me do branded merchandise. So I have hoodies, t-shirts, hats, journals, tumblers, coffee mugs, you name it, all branded to my companies. I sell those like hotcakes everywhere I go. And lastly, I launched a mastermind, more of a high-ticket mastermind. That's a much higher offer in the tune of over 30K kind of offer. And that one, I essentially am teaching people how to scale to 7 figures using my organic methods. And that launched 4 months ago, and I've already enrolled 27 people there. Now, all of these things, right? The mastermind wasn't there until recently, but everything I just explained to you prior to the mastermind was in place from January 15th, right? And in 15 months, the 2 businesses were launched, 8 income streams, and it turned into 7 figures. And I did that organically, which is where my mastermind came from. When I say organically, I mean 0 paid ads, $0 in marketing budget. I didn't spend money to make money. No CRM, no funnels or fancy automation of any kind, no email lists or email marketing campaigns. Everything I built was 100% organic word of mouth growth. And now that's what I teach people with my systems. And I'm teaching people how to launch their own communities. I just have a new program that just came out called the Organic Membership Blueprint, where I teach people how to launch their own communities at the scale of how I did it to create multi-6 figures off one income stream, right? Off a community, a paid community. So that's kind of everything in terms of business where I am now. And the good news is that we're just getting started.
Yeah, it sounds like it. No, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a whole bunch to take in, 2 years? I mean, what a turning point for when you sat down with your wife. I mean, where if she didn't do that, you'd probably still be in your career that you were going on or moved into something else, maybe. But yeah, you have no idea. So that's really good that she sat you down like that. A lot of people probably won't do that this day and age. They probably just let it ride out and see how things go, right? Whether I should believe him or I shouldn't believe him. So, I mean, that's really cool. I gotta say that's awesome. And then you just, you're like, yeah, this is me. This is what I was born to do. And this is what I'm doing. And you just, flip the switch and you just went head on. So that's awesome. I just gotta say, I know I keep saying awesome, but it was really cool. Well, I mean, how does somebody connect with you and get involved in the stuff that you're doing, or maybe just one thing? Is there something that, these are a lot of questions, but is there something that a lot of people tend to gravitate to first?
Yeah. So the way I kind of set up my business plan, right? So my product suite is available to anybody and everybody at whatever part of their journey they're on, right? From the very beginner entrepreneur to the seasoned entrepreneur, I have something to offer all of them, depending on where they are in their journey, right? And that's important. And then also I can fit any budget, right? I can fit the budget of somebody who doesn't know what to do and where to start, as simple as $25 for a book, right? And this book is life-changing. It has so many awesome systems and frameworks of what helped me change my life, right? There's 10 life domains. It talks about all of the different moving parts of morning routine and evening routine and how to master it and really apply some cool principles to create more productivity and results in your life, right? Personally and professionally. So with a little splash of my story in there too. So somebody can come in at that level, or they can come in at the highest level in my mastermind, right? So, and then everything in between. So the way I set it up is that I initially, when I approach entrepreneurs, I bring them into the Connected Leaders Academy world, right? That's where they come in. And then from there, there's upsell options where, okay, well, let's work into this program, or how about this course, or how about this mastermind, or why don't you come to this event? And the goal eventually, just like PNC Bank, when I used to work there, they call it the greater share of the wallet, right? Eventually, you want them to have your credit card, your checking account, your savings account, your investments, your mortgage, your car loan, that you want them to do all their business with you. So, and the more lines of service or products that they have with you, the less likely they are to what? Leave you. Right? So that's the concept. So that's kind of why it's important to have a big product suite. So that is what I created in terms of what I'm doing here. And the next phase now is to go from 1 to 10 million, right? So I 10X'd because I was doing slightly over 6 figures, and then I went from that to 7 figures. So that's a 10X, right? Which I'm a huge fan of Grant Cardone, as you can tell behind me. And I even have 10X tattooed on my arm right here. That's kind of where I'm there. So now I'm going to 10X again. In the next 2 years, I'm going to go from 1 to 10, right? Which is 8 figures. And that's the plan, but that requires a whole new strategy. So the strategy that I'm implementing now is all the things I didn't do before. So I'm going to have a website, right? And guess what? That website launches Monday, coincidentally, that we're talking right now. So on Monday, connectedleadersacademy.com will be live. So by the time somebody's hearing this, they can go to connectedleadersacademy.com. That's the easiest way to connect with me. So connectedleadersacademy.com will be in existence. It's going to have funnels attached to it to promote our live events. There's going to be a marketplace on there where people can buy products and services, all kinds of stuff from my Diamond Club members. There's going to be a university, a marketplace. A university, like a members area for all the members. Now they can go in a back-end hub of the website to get more value there, like a university and all kinds of cool things there. We're going to have affiliate links to incentivize people to continue to organically refer business to the Connected Leaders Academy. We're going to have paid ads. We're going to have email marketing campaigns and email lists. So everything I didn't do before is now going to be put in, because to get from 1 to 10 is going to require a whole new higher level strategy, right? And we're going to go from 342 members to 50,000 members before you know it. And it's going to be a great place to be. And this is a movement. This is more than just a community. This is more than just a tribe, even though we are a tribe, right? And we're all heart-centered entrepreneurs. The people that I'm after in the Connected Leaders Academy are heart-centered entrepreneurs, business owners that understand the law of reciprocity, right? The more you give, the more you get. They understand it doesn't matter how big they are in business, there's always the next level. None of us have arrived, right? So there's qualifications to qualify, of course, to be in the CLA. It's not for everybody. It's for entrepreneurs, but not for everybody. And even by going to the website, people can't sign up there. The only thing they can do from there is book a call with me, because I protect the culture of our community very closely. They have to qualify. They have to fit our culture, which I just described. And of course, they have to be able to add value to our community, and we have to be able to serve them equally to make it a win-win. And that's how I do it, because it's a culture of coffee first, business second, right? It's not a place for a pitch fest where people will pitch each other every chance they get. It's a place of how can I serve you, and how can you serve me? What opportunities and synergies lie between us to where we can create win-win type of stuff. And that's kind of where we're headed. That's what we're doing. And that's how people can get a hold of me. Just go to connectedleadersacademy.com. And you can also check out my other website, the entrepreneursbookshow.com. But connectedleadersacademy.com is going to be
the place. Yeah. Okay. So I just have to ask you a question before I ask my final question. How do you feel? Like, how does it feel to go from nothing, like almost 2 years ago, to this and bringing all these people together?
Well, I feel truly blessed. I am extremely grateful, and I'm very humble. And those are all feelings that keep me going, because my bigger vision, right? I've always been a servant leader at heart. I've always given to people and served people even when I didn't have money, right? And anybody who knows me knows that I have covered bills. I have done this. I have given and given and given many times at my own expense, right? Because that's just who I am. And I figured, well, if I'm a connector naturally and I'm a server naturally, what is a business model that I can create that can have me do what I naturally love to do anyway and get paid for it, right? So that's where the CLA was born. And it was low-hanging fruit. It just was an idea. And guess what? It took me 2 weeks to create that idea, and it took me 30 days to have 100 paid members from the 2-week period that from where the idea came to when I launched. I launched in 2 weeks, right? And I've been around. I was like the first major community that came out way before all the other amazing communities that are out there, right? Many of which are in my community, and we all support each other. We all respect each other. I'm friends with all of the amazing leaders like Dr. Obam Bowen, Jonathan Ellis, Rob Wentz, J.R. Spear. The list goes on and on and on of people that have communities. Gordon Verdecki. I mean, but again, all these people were in my community before theirs even existed, and that's why in business, and this is food for thought for anybody who's out there who's listening, you always have to find what makes you inimitable in business, because what makes you inimitable in business is going to be what you always double down on, what you always sprinkle into all of your messaging. Right. And what makes me inimitable, and inimitable means like nobody can copy you. Nobody can say that because they can't do it the way you're doing it. Right. Like if I'm the number one crab cake restaurant in Maryland, right, in terms of sales, right, then I can say I have the number one crab cake in Maryland. Nobody else can say that. I can say that. Right. And I have to double down on that. If I got the award for best burger in the state of Maryland, then I can use that. And I will say that every time I get a chance to say it, right? So what I double down on is I always say I am the number one fastest growing networking community around, period. Why? Because nobody else can say that. They're awesome communities, but nobody else can say they have 351 members in 42 states and 17 countries. Mm-hmm. All qualified people that are vetted and the culture is protected and all that kind of stuff. Nobody can say that. Now, will we be here forever? I don't know. And we're all friends, right? And we support each other, and that's kind of what it is. So my point in saying all of this is that I am thrilled and I'm excited about where I came from, where I am now, and where I'm headed. And I'm always looking to create win-win opportunities with winners and people that want to win, right? I surround myself with winners all the time, people like you, which is why I said, hey man, let's make this happen. That's why I'm here on the show, right? Which is why you're in the Connected Leaders Academy, which is why you and I were hanging out at a mixer with the BLN, which was an awesome mixer. And I got to like network with new people and I got to meet you, because I always find ways to get into the rooms with winners, right? And that's what it's about. So rub shoulders with winners, do something different in 2024, get out of your comfort zone. It's time to level up, right? And it starts with you. And sometimes people wait for lightning to strike them or an epiphany to happen, or this moment that's like, oh, this is it. It is it. As soon as you decide, it is it. Decide first, commit, and then see it through and take action, because nothing happens until something happens.
Cute, right? There you go. That was a great answer. I appreciate that. So I have one question I ask everybody at the end. And so it is, what are 3 key things you've learned and used along your journey?
3 keys of things I've used along my journey.
3 key things you've learned and used, yes.
I would easily say, so before I tell you my personal 3 keys, I'm going to tell you 3 things that a mentor told me one time that I always apply. Not my 3 keys, but 3 tips that a mentor gave me. Then I'll quickly tell you my 3 keys. A mentor once told me, Jose, in all things, give thanks. In all things, not just the good things, in all things, give thanks. Number 2, he said, this too shall pass, right? The hard times, they don't stay. It's a season. It'll pass. And number 3, never be too good, too big to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, right? And those 3 things served me tremendously, which led me to my journey and now led me to my 3 keys. So my 3 keys, if I had to throw 3 out there, number 1 is morning and evening routine. You have to have the bookends of your day installed in your life. How you start your day and how you end your day are interconnected, and they are the direct result of what happens in between, right? Like the dash between when you were born and when you died, right? Same thing here. To maximize your day, you got to start it right and you got to end it right. And those are systems and those are habits, right? So morning, evening routine. The second major key, I would say, is living in discomfort. You have to voluntarily choose to live uncomfortably. And too many people are comfortable, content. This is good enough. One day I will. This is my plan. Nobody cares about your plan. No, people only care about what you're doing, right? Nobody cares what you did in the past. You're only as good as your last performance, right? So what are you doing today? So anything worthwhile is uphill all the way. right? And if it's not uphill, if it's not hard, you're not doing enough. So I live in discomfort on purpose. Why do you think I picked up 75 hard? Because it makes me uncomfortable. Why do you think I take cold showers? Because it makes me uncomfortable. Why do you think I wake up at 4 a.m. every single morning, Monday through Friday? Because it makes me uncomfortable. And I can keep going and going and going, but that is what's going to equip you and give you the calluses that you need to be able to do what you need to do in life. And then number 3 is to be a person of commitment. I am a person of commitment, right? You have to have commitment as a key in your life. It's not about decisions, because decisions are like dime a dozen. People make decisions every day and then they decide to change their mind, right? Commitment is all the way through. Commitment is I'm going to do this regardless of how I feel, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how bleak or dim the lights are or whatever is happening, right? I am going to see this through. And commitment is required that in anything that is going to bear tremendous fruit. So if you're in the stock market, you better be committed to your decisions. If you're getting married, you better be committed to that marriage. If you are a parent, be committed to that child. If you are in business, you have to be committed to your clients. And commitment is what it takes. So those are 3 things. If you just implement a morning and evening routine and you have the commitment level that's required, right? And you are a person of execution and you are consistent and you have laser focus and all these other pieces that are moving parts, I'm telling you, the game will change, and the game will change. And it really is up to you. It's up to me. It's up to the individual to want it bad enough to actually do what needs to be done. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. No, great answer. And I would just add, with all that, you surround yourself with the people that support you as well. And that's with the communities that you've mentioned, yours as well. And, you're 75 hard. You said you're facilitating it. And yeah, it keeps you moving. So yeah, all that together, man, you just keep grinding it out. Jose, I appreciate you coming on. It's been great meeting you in person, and I hope to see you again soon. And so, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you sharing your journey.
I appreciate this again. Great show. And thank you for having me here. And I hope people connect with me. I would love to add value to anybody who's out there who wants to connect. And thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome.